Hello comic book fans, here's Earl Grey. Today I have 4 books for you, all from Fantagraphics, and all are more on the demented, wacky and weird side of things. Which means quite outrageously demented stuff, because as you know, Fantagraphics is a downright madhouse with more than just a soft spot for weirdo out there artists. Fanta is very probably my all-time favorite publisher just because of Love and Rockets, Guido Crepax, Peter Bagg, and a ton of other stuff. But they do a lot of other things, like for an example to publish Where Demented Went It, the art and comics of Rory Hayes, who was an outsider artist who lived the last years of his life on the street. He died on a pharmaceutical overdose in 1983. He just got 34 years old. One of the most stunning examples of his comic art is Pop of Hayes, the drug fiend. The teddy bear main character, Pop of Hayes, is obviously an alter ego for Rory Hayes himself. In a very raw and primitive yet elaborate manner, he details the drug-induced ecstasy and insanity of his lifestyle. In his stark black and white abstractions and expressive layouts, it's very impressive. Rory Hayes loved the old EC comics, and it shows. The comics often have a short introduction, like in the EC comics. In Pop of Hayes, the drug fiend, we are introduced by the Keeper of the Mind. And there are a lot of horror stories, boiled down versions of familiar EC tropes, with weird teddy bears wielding huge hatchets. But beyond that, you'll find more than just a nod to the underground greats of the time, like Robert Crumb and S. Clay Wilson. The first page in the book is a photography of Rory Hayes with a dedication to Wilson, hence sort of a dedication of the whole collection post-mortem. And, no surprise, a good chunk of the book is devoted to very basic sexual fantasies, toilet door style, a simplified version of S. Clay Wilson. Wilson with less details, but more, so to speak, effects, if you believe that this could ever be possible. To be honest, I usually don't read all the biographies and interviews in books like these. Most of the time, I pick some stuff here and there and go on with the comics, but in this book I ate it all up. Especially the memoir by Geoffrey Hayes, Rory's elder brother, is very interesting and touching. They both shared the enthusiasm for drawing and were not only brothers but friends. Nevertheless, Geoffrey took quite another path than Rory and published a lot of books for children. I googled for them actually, and some of them even look familiar, so I'm almost sure that I or our children have read some of them back in the day. Unfortunately, Geoffrey died in June 2017, but their life and relationship really strikes me as movie-worthy material, rather than the life of Fletcher Hanks in any case, who was in real life a total moron and not an outsider at all. However, I'm not sure where to draw the line between in and outsiders anyway. But Fletcher Hanks was more of an hack who churned an incredible amount of trashy B-comics out. Back in the late 30s and early 40s, when there was obviously a demand for simplistic cliché stories full of stereotypes and clumsy weirdness. The intellectual scope of his stories was the one of a 6-year-old. His drawing abilities were obviously very limited as well. On top of that, his incredible production speed forced him to copy his own characters and panels again and again within one story. But despite of all that, his comics have an amazing and strange quality. I hesitate to say beauty. For all their imitative nature, the comics are very original and powerful. Particularly interesting is the very casual use of violence in the stories. The villains are killed, mutilated, morphed into monsters, and more often than not, just disappeared by some mysterious death ray. Hence, "Turn loose our death rays and kill them all" is not just an hilarious title, but very appropriate as well. In any case, for all you lovers of goofy gonzoisms, this book is a surefire treasure trove, and it's very well made. The cover alone makes it a piece of art itself. I almost forgot to mention the best comic in this book. It's not by Fletcher Hanks, but by the editor Paul Karasik. He visited Fletcher Hanks Jr., the son of the artist, who wasn't even aware of the fact that his father did comics. Hanks left his family when he was 10 and was never seen again by him or his mother, but nobody missed him for good reasons. Anyhow, I really appreciate and love the dedication of Fantagraphics when they are doing these collections for lesser or totally unknown artists. Jonnie Ryan is of course not an unknown artist, even though it's maybe recommendable not to use his name as a reference, at least when you're talking to a new acquaintance and want to make a good impression or want to impress with your taste. Because Ryan is all about avoiding any kind of taste and then some. Maybe the artist for the Trump years, lowering the bar right down there in the mud and then still finding a way to ooze under it. So if you take the title of the book A New Low literally and in the context of Ryan's work so far, it's an almost unbelievable promise. But of course he delivers. Blood, gore, genitals, destroyed genitals, body fluids and everything you can or cannot do with them. Or like the blurb on the back says, "From erotic art collecting squirrel to hornado, it's all here." Like Fletcher Hanks' comics, Jonnie Ryan's comics work best in little chunks. As much as the darker part of me enjoys a lot of Ryan's comics, as much it gets a bit tiring in his repetitive aim for the most atrocious provocation. But by the mighty spaghetti monster, I laughed a lot reading this book. In comparison, Eric Haven's Wake Tales is highly sophisticated. More the stuff to chuckle mildly while you read it than to laugh out loud. But just in comparison to the other books I've shown you, of course. Wake Tales is quite a fitting title because it consists of short and vague stories about a handful of superhero/fantasy characters who are mysteriously connected to an unnamed regular dude who seems to be very angry. That's it. The whole book is not much more or less than one weird and wacky in-joke for the comic book fan. For sure, it has a lot of charm in its very minimalistic and almost casual way of storytelling. Nevertheless, I was a bit disappointed because I liked the preceding mini-collection Ur very much and hoped for a bit more than just more of the same, which is Wake Tales, and I hoped for a bit more content, to be honest, because 17 euros for a book that you can literally read in one toilet sitting, yes, I checked that out, it's a bit too much in my opinion. Even though this book is, I say it again, like everything that Fantagraphics puts out, a wonderfully made book and a piece of art for itself. Thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.